Hi, 7th graders. We are doing lesson 4.3, which starts on page 198 in your textbook, which is calculating rates of change. So if we look at this table that shows the number of entries in Alicia's email account list at the end of 2004 and the end of 2006, we can see that in 2004 she had 10 entries, and in 2006 she had 38 entries. So what is the change in the number of entries from 2004 to 2006? So the change from 10 to 38, so 38 minus 10, so it's changing by 28 entries. Over what number of years did the change take place? If we go from 2004 to 2006, we know that that is 2 years, because 2006 minus 2004 equals 2. Write a rate that compares the change in the number of entries to the change in the number of years. So our rate then would be 28 entries in 2 years. So I'm just going to write this right here. 28 entries in 2 years. And then we want to find our unit rate. So we know that we can divide both sides by, or both the numerator and the denominator by 2, or just go 28 divided by 2 and we get 14. So that means that on average, from this data that we have, Alicia entered 14 emails per year. So we would go 14 entries per year. Okay, so we got 2 from 2006 minus 2004, 28 from 38 minus 10. So this right here, this 14 entries per year, is our rate of change. That's telling us that it's going up by 14 every year, according to this data and on average. Okay, so it's a rate that describes how one quantity changes in relation to another. So the entries are going up based on the number of years that go by. So if you look at this, so this would be a good thing to write down on your vocab sheet, the rate of change. And then this is something important to remember. So if our rate of change is positive, which this 14 is positive, that means it's increasing, which we can see 10 to 38 is increasing, so it's going up, which means increase. And our graph then, if we were to graph it, which we will eventually be working with graphs and looking at graphs, is going to be going up or slanting upwards. If we have a negative rate of change, which we'll talk about in a second, that means our rate of change is going down, or it's changing in a negative direction, and then it's decreasing, and our line is going slanting downward. So let's find a positive rate of change. Find the rate of change in the number of entries in her email contact list between 2004 and 2007. So this is what we would do. We would take the number of entries, so we would take the change in the number of entries. So we're going to go 62 minus 10. And then we're going to take the change in years. So 2007 minus 2004. So 62 minus 10, we get 52. 2007 minus 2004, we get 3. So that means in 3 years, her email entry or email contact list, email contact list, went up by 52. So to find the unit rate, remember unit rate is when our denominator is 1, we're going to take 52 divided by 3, and that means that, which equals 17, so that means each year her list increased by 17. So 17, we're going to say entries, because we want to label it correctly, per year. So based on this information and taking the average, we know that her email list went up by 17 every year. So 17 is positive, that means it's increasing, and we can see 10 to 62 is increasing. Okay? So if we are given a graph, how would we figure out the rate of change? We want to find the rate of change in the cost between 1998 and 2000. So we can see that this graph is talking about personal computers, the average cost, and in what year. Just by looking at my graph and seeing that it's slanting downward, I know that my rate of change is going to be negative. So if I come up with a positive number, that means that I did something wrong. So looking at the graph and looking to see which way it's going, right away it tells you if you're looking for a positive or a negative number. If my graph was going this way, then it would be positive. This is negative. So we want to know the cost between 1998 and 2000. So my year is going to be on the bottom, and I'm going to take between 2000, oops, that's a 0, and 1998. Okay, so my cost in 2000 is $1,000. Okay, now this is super important to be doing this in the correct order. That's why it's nice to know that you're already looking for a negative number. So it's important to line it up directly above the correct year that it corresponds with. So in 2000, it was $1,000. In 1998, it was $1,300. So 1,300. If you were to switch this around, you would not get the correct answer. So 1,000 minus 1,300 equals negative 300. 2,000 minus 1998 is 2. So in 2 years, it decreases negative $300, or it decreases $300. So it's going down $300 in 2 years. So how much is it going down in 1 year? Negative 300 divided by 2 equals negative $150. So it's decreasing $150 per year. If you were to set this up the other way and you did, if you did 2,000 minus 1998 on top and then 1,000, if you set this up and you accidentally did 1998 first, say that you started setting this up as 1,300 minus 1,000 and then you realize that it didn't match up right. Well, I know that 1,300 corresponds with 1998, so I could still line it up directly underneath. 1,300 minus 1,000 is 300, and then 1998 minus 2,000 is negative 2. There's our negative. 300 divided by negative 2, you would still get negative $150. So it doesn't matter if you go, it's better to take the higher year minus the lower year, or the higher number on the x-axis. But if you switch it around, just make sure that both the numerator and the denominator correspond with each other. All right, to make sure you go in and take the 4-3 NICU quiz, and then I will see you tomorrow.